Hi Boyds, welcome to week 8. I hope that you had a successful experience creating your pitch. Looking forward to reviewing them all this weekend. I've had some back and forths via email with some of you, and it's given me an indication that there's a need to clarify some of the vocabulary in this course, particularly the distinction between design and design-based leadership. So for me, design is something that I can do to people. The computer that you're watching this on was designed by somebody. They likely used a design process. Your involvement in that you weren't too aware of. It's possible that they gleaned some insights from an empathy process using you or users like you, but it's not something that you yourself practice the design process or design mindsets in. I see that as distinct from design-based leadership. When I think of design-based leadership, I think of engaging others in the collaborative process of design, working through developing the mindsets, fostering the mindsets of design in others, and creating, activating others to create innovative solutions to unique problems. So in our course, we're practicing design and design-based leadership. We're using a process of design ourselves to design for our users, but we're also trying to engage stakeholders in a design process. So related to that is the difference between the prototype or hack that I had you do. That was an opportunity for you to try out a process of design and use prototyping or hacking. Those can be used, for me, I'm using them as synonyms. You tested a prototype in your context, or you initiated a hack in your context in order to learn more about the big idea you were designing on. I always suggest to leaders that it's a good idea to have done the thing you're asking others to do, ask teachers to try the project they're asking students to do. That was the intent of the prototype or hack. So in that case, you went to your users to gain empathy, you then did a process of ideation, decided on an opportunity to prototype or hack, then you tested that out in your context to learn more about your big idea. Now we're transitioning from that prototype or hacking to the design deep dive. In the design deep dive, you're going to now act as a design-based leader who engages your participants in their own process of design. So your job is going to be to help them with through the process and facilitation that you bring, help them think like designers, help them develop those design-based mindsets, and as a leader, activate just a distributed leadership model in your context, which is different than a command and control traditional leadership or traditional teaching mindset where you're controlling and deciding what others are going to do and rolling it out, or engaging them in a process of which you then take and make decisions on and roll out as an implementation. In this case, what you're doing is activating them as designers, and that's what we're going to be working on this week, is further revising our plan for how to do that. So hopefully that brings some clarity, and we can keep exploring that vocabulary and making meaning through our work together, and I'm really open to questions and inquiry both via email, and then we'll have time at our session as well on the 7th. So the agenda is posted on this news item as well as in a few other places in our site. But what you need to know about that is come prepared to pitch the concept that you have for your design deep dive to a critical friends group. I'm going to facilitate a process where you receive feedback from a variety of peers. I'm going to ask you to document that feedback. There's a tool for you to do that and post it up. I always find this to be an important step when designing critique and revision, is to design for revision and to have people be accountable to that. I think it's a constraint that is enabling. So you're then going to post that tool where you document the feedback you receive as this week's engagement in D2L. So what you want to come prepared for is have an idea of what it is that you're planning as a design deep dive. Potentially you're back to the drawing board and you're not sure, then you can bring that to the group. Or maybe you're a lot further down the road. In that case, you want to think about what would be helpful to ask them about. Perhaps you want to activate your critical friends to give you specific feedback about an individual process you're thinking of running, as opposed to the whole concept. So you want to consider what will be helpful feedback for you at this time and come prepared to pitch that. The format will give you 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes maybe to pitch your idea. You could also choose to upload the tool that I gave you to the shared board that you'll have in the breakout room so everyone can see it. But essentially, you want to spend as little time as possible giving them enough information to give you feedback so that the rest of your 10 minutes can be for others to give you feedback. Interesting in this process is that you'll also learn a lot from what other people are doing, and that might inform how you design your deep dive. So that's our Adobe Connect session. And then, as I mentioned, you'll submit that tool. Looking ahead, because this isn't, all of this is important for you to understand the broader context. So we're designing right now towards the B section of our LT2, LT2B design. So I've gone ahead in the news item and also included the agenda tool that I'm going to get you to use to submit LT2B. And since that's what we're planning now, you probably want to have the end in mind. So check that out. Essentially, it asks you for a concept, the big idea you're linked to, a driving question, and then the agenda with tools. Somebody asked a good question, do I have to create all these tools myself? No, you certainly can curate from other places and provide those links. So it might go off to D-School, it might go to IDEO, it might go to the Rocky View site, it might go to something you've created in the past. So for those working tools that you're using with your stakeholders, my expectation is that what you're thinking about is how to remix tools or create new tools to walk people through a design process that's contextualized to your context, to your stakeholders, to what it is that you're trying to help them do. And so you can go ahead and check out what that tool looks like so that you know what you're being asked of. It's essentially a one-pager. However, there are those associated links that you may want to include. And in there, I'm asking you if you want to have your agenda posted on a Weebly site that I've created for this class for us to use for this purpose. I find it helpful for me when I'm leading engaging stakeholders to have a website to take people to so they can see the agenda, they can access the tools. I also find as a teacher that making student learning visible is powerful. So this site can also be a place that you could link to show what you can do as a design-based leader. You get an opportunity to decide, would you like part A, part B, and then in the end part C, all included on your page, which could have it be a portfolio item for you. It can also be something